First of all, let's talk about the 30-day session. It starts, I think, 3 weeks from today. What do you want to put on the call?
You know, there are several things. We're still working on it. We have our offices meeting regularly to decide what we're going to put on. We're going to put on some tax reform. We really want to make it an even playing field for small businesses. How do we get rid of some of those taxes for many of the small businesses so they don't have to be filing quarterly? How are we going to make some education reform as well? Make sure that we have
social promotion.
Social promotion is intended to be on there. Also, the driver's license bill. People, I go around the state all the time, and all they keep saying is, hang in there, keep fighting it, make sure that it stays on the agenda. And so we are.
I spoke to Speaker Lujan, and he says we shouldn't be putting controversial issues like that.
You know, this issue has been discussed many times, and when over 74% of the voters in New Mexico say repeal that law, I don't see it controversial anymore. It has been discussed in the first 60-day session. It was discussed in the special session, and really, we're done discussing it. Vote.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is, when I heard that, I thought, well, Speaker Lujan, isn't that kind of what the legislature is supposed to do?
Yeah.
Talk about controversial issues.
That's exactly right. I mean, just make decisions, discuss them. They've been discussed long for many days. Just decide, vote, and let the public decide who stands for them.
I wrote a story about Senator Beffert's dog bill. I don't know if you saw this.
Dog?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't. Okay, so I won't even ask you. Yeah, she wants to put a bill up there, basically putting heavy restrictions on pit bull owners.
I've not seen that.
Okay. And also, I talked to Senator Worth. He wants to put up a campaign transparency bill.
I've not seen the language, but I have read articles.
Right, and he's got Nate Gentry as a co-sponsor. So
I've seen some of that.
Still too early to tell whether or not you will.
I haven't seen the language on it yet, but certainly the more transparency often is a good thing as far as campaign contributions. I mean, that's certainly important that the public knows who's contributing.
Have you talked to Cheryl Williams Stapleton yet? Have you had your meeting yet?
No, we tried to set up a meeting this week, but she's out of state. Or, I don't know, out of state. She's out of town.
Okay.
That's the response we got, out of town.
And Raul Burciaga says they've got security video of the outburst, but he's not going to release it. Do you have an opinion on that?
I'm sorry, it should be released. It is in a public building. It is maybe held for security reasons, but having worked as a prosecutor in a building, district courthouse where we had cameras, if there was an IPRA request, it was provided.
Also, a week from today, the Republicans have their Iowa caucus. Do you have a favorite?
I think it's not really up to me, and it's not what I think. It's really what the voters think. I'm going to let them decide. They're very intelligent and can decide what they want.
And I know you've been asked this question before, but I want to get it on the record. Your name's getting bandied about for vice presidential stuff. What are your thoughts about that?
Absolutely not. I'm committed to New Mexicans. I have to do this job right. As governor, I have been asked to make some very positive changes in New Mexico, and that is my #1 commitment for 4 years. At that point, we decide whether we run again or not. But I am focused on being governor for 4 years.
And I know that you're on the Republican Governors Executive Council. What are your plans to try to get New Mexico to turn red in the 2012 presidential election? I mean,
what am I going to what?
New Mexico's a swing state. What do you have any plans to make sure that do whatever's possible to make sure that whoever does get the Republican nomination wins New Mexico?
What I want to do is make sure that conversations, really sincere conversations about the issues are being discussed with all of the individuals in New Mexico that vote. I think the rhetoric is getting old. People are tired of the rhetoric. And, balanced budget, cuts, the spending, et cetera. How? Give us the meat and the details on how that's going to happen. We did that during our budget session. We said we weren't going to raise taxes. We showed you, and we didn't do it. We showed you how we were going to cut, but still preserve what's most important, and health care and education. So those are the things that I'm hoping that the candidates can bring to New Mexico voters and say, this is what I'm saying, not just talking about philosophically what I think, but how are you going to do it? People are tired of the rhetoric. They really want to have the meat and potatoes about how you're going to do this.
And one other question I've got is Frank Foy and Victor Marshall gave a presentation today. What were your impressions?
You know, I mean, I think he's very passionate about what he argues in reference to his position. We have certainly, we have outside counsel. We have that has been deputized by the Attorney General's office, and that is the counsel of the SIC. I think one thing that is a little distracting is the fact that Mr. Marshall is also suing the SIC and cannot play both roles of an advisor and suing the SIC. And so, you know, he deserves to be heard. He's very passionate, but I think certainly the SIC as a whole has chosen the right path to recover those tax dollars that have been lost or stolen.
Are you comfortable with Gary King and the Attorney General's office spearheading this?
Well, he's not spearheading it. He is simply local counsel. And having been a prosecutor in the past, I know what local counsel is. It's just the person that happens to be in the state that is local counsel but does not participate in advising, does not participate in providing any advice to any of the parties, does not provide in filing pleadings, absolutely nothing. That's why he has given the authority to the law firm from New York, Mr. Pfeiffer, and that's why we're confident in the advice that we're receiving, because it is from someone that Gary King has actually given that authority to.
Okay. Last question for you. It's almost a brand new year. What have you learned in sitting in this office?
You know, what I've learned is that people want you to say what you mean and then do what you say. Often politicians get their bad name or bad reputation because they'll say whatever it takes to get elected, and then they forget what they said when they're in office. And so I am constantly reminding people about what I said for 16 months when I was running and how I'm delivering those results for them. And people will often tell me, the most surprising was when a legislator said, you need to quit campaigning, you need to start governing. And I said, I'm not campaigning, I am governing, but I'm governing in a way that I'm keeping my promises. And so that was most surprising to me, is people didn't expect me to keep my promises.
All right, Governor Martinez, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a good 2012.
Thank you.
Thanks
You
for your
too.